How to make cream honey 2 different ways, and let's see which is the best.
Raw natural honey is going to crystallize eventually. But you have a choice if it's going to be thick and ugly and have a terrible texture. It's going to be grainy, if you can even get it out of the jar. Or it can be this wonderful, thick, creamy, creamed honey.
Honey left on its own will form large, irregular, jagged patterns. Using a cream honey starter gives the honey a smaller crystal pattern to follow, producing a smooth, silky, spreadable, creamed honey.
Now there are 2 ways to make creamed honey. You can either buy some creamed honey from your favorite beekeeper, or you can buy this powder from your beekeeping supply company. And we're going to start out doing it with creamed honey. We're going to use it a 10% ratio. Now some people will figure that 1 part to 9 parts, whereas others will take the total figure and get 10% of that. I'm using the 1 to 9 ratio. I have weighed up 9 ounces of regular honey that has not been granulated. And then I weighed 1 ounce of my creamed honey. And I'm going to set my mixer on low medium and just mix it till I think it's really, really mixed well. Okay, now I'm going to occasionally stop. I'm going to stir it and make sure it's all getting mixed together good. Make sure I haven't missed any edges. Now I'm ready to put it in my jar. Okay, so now I'm ready to kind of clean off my rim. I do have a few bubbles in there from using the mixer, but I'm going to put a lid on it, and I'm going to keep this in my refrigerator. The best temperature for this is 55, or say not above 59 and not below 50. Now if you had a root cellar or somewhere that you could keep it in those temperatures, you wouldn't need to put it in the refrigerator, but I'm going to put it in the refrigerator for those perfect temperatures.
Now most home refrigerators are 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below, the ideal temperature being 35 to 38. Now this is safe for food, but way too cold for creamed honey. Now I have a small dorm refrigerator that I can set the temperature to about 55 degrees. So how long does it need to stay in the refrigerator? Well, it really depends on what size your container is and the temperature. In as little as 4 days and as much as 2 weeks. And 5 to 7 days is the average.
Okay, now I bought some premium creamed honey starter from Dadont, and their directions specify that it was like a pound of starter to 10 pounds of honey. So I'm starting with 10 ounces of honey and 1 ounce of a starter. Now when I got the starter, it was a really fine powder. It's going to be kind of like the consistency of powdered sugar. But I had let it set for quite a while and it got hard and crumbly and all that. So I had to run it through my Ninja blender and get it all nice and smooth, and then ran it through a sifter several times. Because if this isn't really in tiny, tiny particles, if it's in big clumps like this, that's the pattern the cream honey is going to form. So you want to make sure your starter is just as fine and powdery as it can be. Okay, so just like the other, I've weighed up 10 ounces of my honey, and I've got 1 ounce of my starter. And so once more, it's just going to be a matter of mixing it up till it's nice and smooth and creamy, and I know that all of it's incorporated and then I will put it in a jar and let it sit in the refrigerator 5 to 7 days, 8 days. So let's get started. Okay, now we did one batch of creamed honey with another creamed honey and another batch with the starter from Day Dawn, and let's see if we can see the difference. Now I did this November the 10th, and today is November the 15th. Now it does have some air bubbles in it because of me using the mixer. I can just kind of move that aside and look at that. Nice and creamy and silky. It's a little cold, so it's not quite as thin as it was the other day. Let me kind of take the foam off of this. You can see that. Like I said once more, it's kind of chilly in here, so it's just a little bit thicker than what it would normally be. But as far as I can tell, I cannot tell one from the other.
One or two? Which do you think?
Now this one was made with the starter from Day Dawn. And this one was made from the cream honey from Honey Apple Farm. So I would probably use the starter from Day Dawn if I was going to do a large amount, like doing 10 gallons at a time or 10 pounds. But for small amounts, just get another jar of cream honey and you're going to be able to make plenty. Now you want to set aside enough as a starter to make another batch of creamed honey, and then to this you could add your flavorings and spices if you wanted to flavor it or spice it. You could use cinnamon, cocoa, a combination of spices, and use about a tablespoon per pound. Or if you really want to get exotic with it, Day Dawn, some of the other bee suppliers will have flavorings like apricot and strawberry and all that you buy, and you would just use their directions with their flavorings.
Creamed honey will stay at its creamy consistency indefinitely if stored around 65 degrees. If stored in a warm area, say 90 degrees, it will separate and you will have to do the whole process all over again. Now, according to taste, add cinnamon, cocoa powder, and other spices or dry food. This can be a tablespoon per 1 pound of honey or 1 to 2 teaspoons per 2 cups of honey. It's up to you. Buy special flavoring from your favorite bee supply store and use their directions. Your choice, hard crystallized honey or silky smooth cream honey. It's all up to you. And you might be an herbalist if you are planting herbs for your honeybees. Like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss any of these great natural tips.